Hi everyone. I promised to make a video each month of the Subbuteo scene in Australia, but I failed to deliver in recent months. I've been just a tad busy, so it's been a bit of a hiatus. However, we're back with a bang this month. High five this dude behind me. More on him later and what's he lurking behind me for. But let's get into it. I've got a great episode today, starting up with an interview from Benji Batten on everything to do with the GP, planning for next year and the World Cup. Here we go. Okay, this month on the show, I'd like to welcome Benji Batten. Welcome, Benji.
Thanks, Adrian. Great to be here.
So those that don't know Benji, he is well travelled around the world of Subbuteo, but quite prominent on the scene here in Australia. Got the scene up and running again on the modern scene, I suppose, in the festive days. And you're now also the top seed going into the World Cup, mate. Must be pretty proud of that.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that's happened actually. I had a lucky tournament at the Grand Prix in February, and I think you just get a lot of ranking points from that. But yeah, very excited. It's been about 10 years playing now, so slowly improving, and now feeling good.
Yeah, I think you're underestimating lucky performance, gee whiz, mate. And he played about 6 lucky games, and was it 6 lucky wins?
Maybe. I think Gary played as a golfer, and he said the more I play, the luckier I get. So maybe that's me.
That's it. You reckon? No, you've been playing well this year, I think. Although I nearly got the better of you, and then you decided to play for real in the satellite and stitched me up.
I could do no wrong that day. That was a good day for me, the satellite.
Yeah, yep. No, but I think you've had a few good days lately. The GP, obviously, you did really well and pushed Peter Thomas in the semi-final as well. Not many of us can say they've done that. So I think it sort of showed how much you've improved probably in the last 12 months even, really, mate, to be able to do that. Peter obviously doesn't play as regularly as he used to, but still hard to push or to be any sort of competitive game against him for most of us. Rob Green pushed him in the final pretty hard as well, obviously, but not many others can get close to him.
No, it was definitely a good day, and I made a good comeback, and I think conceded within like the last minute of the game, so it was pretty cut. Yeah. It would have been great to get it to extra time, but Pete's a fantastic player and has many levels to his game. But no, it's now coming. I think after that he was really quite worried. So it'd be good in the future when we play. Definitely, never takes it easy on me anymore. That's for sure.
Yeah, yep. So that probably ties in to what the main piece of the conversation today is about, is the World Cup for next year. You're our top seed and our number one choice in the Open category, and being joined with Frank Kazarin in the Open. Frank's first attempt at the big time in Europe, let alone in the World Cup. In the veterans, we've got Elliot Kennedy and Tony Credentino. This is in the individual nominations. And in the women's, Beth Everlay as well. So they're sort of the players we're going to be putting forward to FISTA for the individual events. And then we got teams, the first time ever, isn't it, for Open and veterans? Which is great. So Benji, Elliot, Kennedy, Rob Green, and Frank in the Open team, and in the veterans we've got Tony Credentino, Hugh Beth, and Chris Thorne as well going over for the veterans team. So a strong contingent of 8 people, which is amazing. To go all the way from Australia to the UK, but to the home of Subbuteo as well, the birthplace, I should say, Subbuteo, the Royal Tunbridge Wells. So must be pretty exciting. I think there's a few of us sort of checking flight prices for quite a while. There's still a flash from down here. I hope you've booked yours already.
I've booked the accommodation. The flights are still to be done, but yeah, it's incredibly exciting. I think the kind of keys here are that it's obviously being held where the game was born, which is incredibly special. I think also you look at the work of the English Subbuteo Association the last couple of years and the amount of work they've done and the tournaments and the ideas they're bringing. I'm certainly quite confident it's going to be very well organised, and I think that's reflected in all the materials they've been pushing out, and been lucky to be playing this game now sort of the last 10 years, and I can see at the moment that the interest for this World Cup is really off the charts. The ability, I've seen qualifying tournaments in Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland. There's going to be teams from Wales, Scotland. I think this would be the first World Cup which has featured teams from the Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England, which is 5 of the, I think, 27 or 28 member associations of FISTF. This will actually be the first time in quite a number of years that all 5 of those teams will have full teams. And you look across the board, we've been running the numbers trying to work out selections. Most countries are only going to have 2-3 players in each category rather than the kind of 5-6 which it's spilt over to in past years. Yeah. So you can just tell that this one's going to hit different. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, no, I agree. Certainly ESA has done a lot of good marketing and the growth of the game generally, which feels like on the back of the World Cup, obviously on the back of their hard work as well for the grassroots game, so to speak. It's really been good to watch from afar, and makes us all sort of wonder how can we replicate the same. But it's certainly been, which is what you'd like to see the World Cups do, is grow the sport, not just be about the elite. So if that's sort of a flavour of things to come, it's pretty exciting.
Absolutely, and it's awesome that we've got a big team going across. We've got 8 going, and I think that's actually a byproduct of a few years. We had, I think there were 5 of us in Gibraltar in 2018. We had a team of 4 in the World Cup in Rome, but we also sent a pretty sizable contingent. I think it was 12 or 13 to Singapore for the Asian Cup in 2019. So it all kind of builds year on year.
Yep.
But the ability to have a number of us there, both in the teams across an open and a veterans team, but it makes a big difference when you're in the hall and you have people to both support you in the games, but also to share that experience with. And that's really what I think the magic of the World Cup is about. The reality is, I'm assuming it's the same format as in past years, where there is a seed and then 3 players selected into a group. So, my chances of progressing, are heavily dependent on drawing 2 players out of the other 48 non-seeded players that I have a chance of beating. And you could get, the 17th and 18th ranked, or you could get the 63rd and 64th ranked. So that's the luck of it. And you have to go across knowing that, where you sit. And if it's the best, you'll enjoy the experience of playing the best players. And if it's players close to your level, you'll enjoy the chance or the hope of progressing. And that's, I guess, the good magic of the format. But I'm certainly under no illusions that will probably dictate my results more than my ability to play at my standard or anything like that. That'll dictate it more.
Yeah. I haven't kept abreast of. I've got my fist of polish shirt on. I haven't kept abreast recently. I've been too busy with work and everything, of all the emails flying around. But there's been a lot of conversations here on the World Cup handbook and finalising some of those details so that people know what's going on. Yeah, I wasn't sure. Potentially there might be a second pool, a second pot, or whatever as well, I think, but I could be wrong on that. I've been struggling to keep up with it all.
Well,
so
hopefully my disproportionate ranking from the Grand Prix helps.
You might be right. You might be right. I haven't looked what your global number is.
But
yes.
I think playing in the World Cup, though, and this is the same thing I would say for really all the guys going over from Australia and from the US and from the countries outside of Europe, is I think you have to remember it's about playing this game that we love at its highest level, at its highest event, and representing your. I see it not so much as representing Australia as a country, but I see it as representing ATFA and the association and all the players here. In my experience playing last time when I played, an Italian player, Claudio Latorre, and I just thought, for him, the game is massive in Italy. He's probably got a local club that he's been brought into the game. They've trained him up for a number of years, and he's obviously an incredible player, but very much has that support network, and he's got to that. And I thought, if I look on the flip side, when I found this game, it didn't really exist in Australia. Pretty much grew everything from the ground up. and that's kind of what you're proud of when you take it and you're playing at that level, is you're playing for all the people here, and to make them proud and to see them represented. And it's just a lot of fun. So that's the kind of message for everyone going across. It's great to get some wins, and the team event is particularly enjoyable. I much prefer that to the individuals. But surprisingly, even just playing 3 group games, an individual on the Saturday and 3 teams games on a Sunday, of the kind of highest pressure situation of table football, is more than enough energy and excitement for the weekend. Like, you feel it's pretty well worth it, even just for 6 games, because they're pretty intense and pretty memorable affairs.
Yeah, I think it's a good point actually around sort of playing for ATFA. I think a lot of us vicariously live 3 years old when you're over there. I remember when Paul Mercer was playing the great Carlos Flores, and right, we're all watching that game intently. I reckon we probably all watched replays online of that as well. It was just an amazing experience for Paul, especially the way Carlos seemed to play that game as well. He clearly could just completely clean him if he wanted to, but he was seemingly giving him some tips as he went along, which was for us amazing to see, as well as Paul just being exposed to that level of play. It's something money can't buy, so to speak. So
definitely. And
so the positive being drawn in their group is you're not going to get close to them, but it'd be a bit of a thrill, I think, getting drawn to one of the absolute legends of the game, let alone one of the seeds of the tournament.
Definitely. And I would note on that, I mean, Carlos Flores, for me, be the best Subbuteo player in the world, and he's someone who can make that assessment on the group and take it easy if he wanted to in that game. But I actually don't think there are many players in the World Cup who would do that. I know of guys at the last World Cup who got done between 15 to 20-0, and okay, on the one hand, that's a fairly solid scoreline for the World Cup. But actually, when else are you getting the opportunity to play one of these guys when they have to really go for it? And they basically have to play you properly. They can't just, muck around for 10 minutes at a club night when you're visiting. They're giving you their best game, and you're giving them yours, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's right. You're seeing how the level they're actually at, rather than just cruising and not even watching the play or something. So
definitely,
yes, that's right. Yes. So, any other tips for the others going across the World Cup virgins or anything that haven't been there before?
That's true. I mean, look, I think for all of us, you got to play as much as you can beforehand, mostly because you've got to kind of commit to some strategies of what you're going to do when you get there. I think I'm guilty of this, of sometimes just playing off autopilot rather than very deliberately. And I think something I've been focusing on in my game over the last kind of 6-7 months is having a very deliberate plan of attack and what I want to do in certain situations. And I don't want to obviously give away my grand tactics to the world community of table football, but I think any solid player, when they're making plays, they know where they want the ball to be, where they want the players to be, and that comes from playing regularly. It comes from playing, I would say, proper games, so 2 15-minute halves, because it's exhausting. When you're playing at the World Cup, you don't play on autopilot in any way, shape, or form. Every game, I played in the World Cup is basically like playing the grand final of the Grand Prix here, in terms of you're playing someone that's skill level better than you and you're absolutely pushing it. So lots of practice is awesome. And then the other thing is to have a bit of a think about, the sort of environment you're going into. And it's players who are taking it pretty seriously. I don't think it's that players would actively do things that are wrong, that are shifty, but it's an environment where both players are trying their absolute best to win. And the referee, when you're refereeing the games, you've got to be pretty on it. But the case of mentally preparing, that you've got to be playing every second properly, because it's quite a sort of serious format as you're going in the hall. People take this sort of event when they're there. I mean, I think just particularly during those 30 minutes of the match, they're taking it pretty seriously. It's pretty good after the game and before and after, but it's just kind of preparing for that environment where, for those 30 minutes, it really is a big deal. Everyone's going to come a long way, and the games, as a result, I think, as you'd expect, can become at times a bit conservative. Players don't want to give up the ball. They don't want to.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily take heaps of risks, although that might change on the extreme pitch this year. We were on a fairly slow-ish kind of Astro base. The way it was playing in Gibraltar was a pretty slower, more defensive setup. Whereas I could envisage here with the extreme, the goals would be a bit more flowing, different kind of game. But that's the kind of thing, the advice to all the guys in Australia who are coming along is just got to play as much as possible and have an idea of what you want to try and replicate when you get there.
Yeah, I think I remember you had a target last World Cup of 1,000 games in the lead up. You're doing the same thing.
Oh, true.
Do you remember that?
I
presume
do.
Stolen from the 1,000 hours to master something.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not sure this time it'll hit quite the same, but no, I think I'll definitely be trying something similar, Adrian, particularly as it gets closer. Playing the players who are also looking to go, and you play just as much as you can. What I think the aim of that is it just means that when you're playing in the World Cup, you're playing at the best level you can be. It's not so much that you're necessarily able to raise your game the 15 levels that's probably required to be as competitive, but you just be kicking yourself if you're there and going, damn, I missed that because of these sloppy errors. And they still come because you're nervous, but you can kind of iron out that when you've at least got a game plan for what you're trying to do there.
Yeah, and I think even irrespective of your final result, if you've played your best, you feel pretty content, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've tried to get in the habit on the board behind me here of practicing, even if it is just for 10 minutes. Sometimes it's a good hour when Riley's doing his final bit to bed with his mum. Sometimes that takes for ages. So I just sit there and do bugger all by. I'm going to start practicing, which has certainly helped my game. But traveling for work last week, I haven't practiced obviously at all, and I can feel like you feel rusty even that week of disconnection, right? So which is interesting. Of just 10 days away from it, you certainly have to practice regularly. And what I probably find I miss going to some events is that regular play. I don't have a clear picture in my head of how to play as I go through, which obviously takes more game time than training. You can't, to a large degree, train for some of that.
Yeah, definitely. The game I've always found is the kind of best teacher. The shooting is the thing that I try and practice a bit more on my own time. But certainly the thinking and the gameplay through there is what I'm going to keep trying to play through with my coveted secret tactics that I'll keep under wraps. I usually like to only reveal them after the game's done and I've won the game.
No, good work. What else was I going to say? So you were at were you at Rome? I can't remember. You were at Gibraltar. Were you at Rome?
I was in Gibraltar, not the Rome World Cup. I think I qualified for the original Rome World Cup in 2020.
Oh, of course,
Qualify for that. But we played in Gibraltar, which was a really awesome experience. I got really sick and I couldn't talk the whole weekend. But I played, first game, got pretty comfortably beaten by Claudio Latorre. Scored a good goal there, so I was pretty pleased with that. And then the next game was against Mario Stromer from Austria, and I think it was 1-1. He scored a goal with like 2 minutes to go, and if it had been a draw, I would have gone to shots. So that was a game, I think, pretty heavily ruining that, because definitely had my chances, probably on top of him, which is a bit of a shame. And I think similarly the next day we drew to Germany, and I conceded a goal, maybe the last shot of the game, to Marcus Tilner from Germany, and that made it a draw overall. So those were the moments which were pretty close, and it was a case of, all right, well, this is what you want to come back for. But the ability to kind of just be out there with the guys and giving it your best, was a pretty awesome experience, really.
Yeah, the teams will be interesting how we go in the Opens, in particular with yourself, Elliot and Rob's, two stalwarts of the game, been around a long time, got a lot of experience in those events as well, especially Rob, as well as Frank the newcomer. It'd be interesting to see if we can get a soft draw as to how we can go. We got a draw against Northern Ireland in Rome, I think.
Yeah.
And that might have been our only point in that World Cup, but we weren't far off the money from memory, so we weren't too far away, obviously, from the elite countries we're a mile behind. But we're sort of in the pack with some of the others in the teams event, it feels. So we'll see how we go on this one, especially if there's a lot of teams. It means good chance that we might get some softer ones. We'll see.
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully there's some extra games. I'm not sure if they've got some stuff planned for the afternoon on the Sunday, if there's like any consolation matches. But I mean, the great thing about the teams event is, I remember even playing the US, we were able to, by winning the toss, we had a draw where I think myself and Fabrizio were playing against their 3 and 4 from the US, and in the end, I think we lost the game 3-0. But if Fabrizio and I had been able to win our 2 games, that's suddenly a draw, even though across the 4 we probably had a much weaker side. I'm still pretty positive that a good draw and getting results. If you get two wins, you'll never lose a game. So that's the positive for the team event.
Yep. No worries. Was there anything else you wanted to chat about in the World Cup before we move on to next year in Australia and the GP?
Well, I just say for the World Cup, we're in the process of putting together some cool merch. So watch this space. Adrian's got the
last
shirt.
Year's kit.
We're gonna do another run of these fantastic ATFA Conquer kits. So you're able to, when they drop, you can order one from kind of wherever you're based in the world. I'd say if you're outside Australia, be willing to pay for the postage yourself, but we'll put together a run of the shirts and watch this space for some special other merch. We're going to do some World Cup polos. That'll be specific to the World Cup, and then also available for anyone to purchase. We're going to debut some ATFA tracksuits, so keep your eyes out for those. It's going to be pretty cool. I mean, that's the fun of it. That's why we do this. It's part of the game, part of the merch, part of the whole experience. It's all just a bit of fun, and that's why we love it.
Yeah, I always wear my ATFA kit or shirt to the Socceroos games as well. I haven't got a tap on my shoulder yet. Does anyone ask, what's that shirt? They probably just think I'm some plonker with a rip-off kit or something, and haven't sort of looked at too closely at the logo.
From the South Melbourne market.
Yeah, I'm surprised no one sort of spotted either the Subbuteo and the logo or the Aloisi sort of celebration and questioned our logo. I think it's a big draw card, the logo. So I'm surprised someone hasn't done it yet, which would be good. Where we hook someone in, but
it's a beautiful design, and I think just as Australian soccer really is trying to probably find its feet in the post golden generation era. I think probably similar for ATFA, we're now moving on post that real original era of Subbuteo and the original guys who played Subbuteo coming back in their second era. We need to grow the game with people who'd never heard of the game. So that's what we're doing here in Australia at the moment.
Yeah, it is the hard one, isn't it? When people have never heard of it and you don't see it down here at law and shops or the media. It's hard to get people to understand what it is. They think of football often.
I will note, though, the last thing on that before we sort of chat about the Grand Prix for next year, the opportunity is great because then you can bring someone who's never seen the game before, and you can let them know about the rules that you play, the equipment you play with, and get them straight playing on the same game that you're playing with the same equipment, and you don't have to worry about that next level first of them maybe finding a Subbuteo branded product in the store, starting with that, then having to buy other equipment, getting frustrated with different rules and different levels. So the possibilities when you don't have as much knowledge of, it used to be like this, or what if it's like that? You can just cut the crap and go straight to the game you're playing, which can be really helpful too.
Yeah, something with Nathan Abaniak down here. Yeah, it's amazing how quickly he's picked it up and gone with it. He's probably that new generation, so to speak, has just come into
next
it. Next gen, rather than the old timers like myself coming back into the game. We used to play on the floor and all those sorts of dodgy stories. Yeah,
I don't know what that makes me and Luke mid-generation.
Mid-generation, probably
90s kids.
The Middle Ages in
we're a very rare commodity in the world of table football. People of the age of like Luke, myself, and Nathan. So it's good.
Yeah, you're probably right. Okay, well, so we'll move on to the GP, mate, if you like. So you're well advanced, well done in the planning for next year's Australian Grand Prix. Are we back in Melbourne next year, at a venue we loved recently, the Ultra Football, just in the sort of inner suburbs of Melbourne. For those from outside of Melbourne or outside of Australia, amazing football superstore, and we set up the tables inside, street soccer arena, isn't it, with the nets all the way around it. So it's a really groovy atmosphere, and the kit sales and that further around, the boot sales and all sorts of stuff. So fantastic venue. And then the cafe out the front as well. We held the welcome dinner at Panenka Cafe, which was brilliant as well. The food there when we had our first ever event there was brilliant. So we're back again, Feb 7, 8, 6, 7. I can't remember the dates. Benji?
Yeah, February 7th to 9th, 2025. It'll be good when you look at the calendar, because you'll see it's the Friday to Sunday. We put the Friday down because we open the venue for practice in the afternoon and do the draw in the evening. But we mirror a fairly standard approach, which is the individuals on the Saturday and the teams on the Sunday. But yeah, it's really exciting, this tournament, and I wanted to sort of chat about it, and we'll share this video beyond the Australian circles, because I think we're at a point now where we've got the World Cup this year, a pretty awesome event to kind of kickstart, I think, a real post-COVID era of the game, where people have found the game and found the magic in a way with so much more equipment even than was available sort of 10 years ago, and now can travel post-COVID. And I'm keen to share the experience with the world of the Australian Grand Prix. The Australian Grand Prix is the biggest Subbuteo table football event that exists outside of Europe. So if you're a Subbuteo player who has played in events in England, in Italy, in Belgium, you've got, I think, one experience of the game across a fairly regular European circuit. But I don't think it's wrong to say that as it currently stands, the kind of pinnacle of the game outside of Europe is this tournament, the Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne. With great respect to our American players who have had massive tournaments, I know in Maryland and Washington, and they've had their periods where they get bigger numbers. If you look at the numbers attending this tournament over the last 5-10 years, this has really become the biggest consistent and well-organized tournament. This is, I think, the 10th, even on off with COVID, since 2015. So it's 10 years since we did the first one, 2015. And this is a tournament which basically consistently hits numbers in the open category of over 32 players from all around Australia. They come from Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Perth. They come from beyond. They're coming from New Zealand next year. They come from Singapore. And so what you are getting is the true magic of this game that you love to play outside your traditional settings across Europe, in the corner of the world, the beautiful corner of the world in Australia.
That's right.
And in terms of the standard of play, there is also the ability in the Australian players. I think the standard's really good, but I think it's also, if you'll come, you'll get a lot of games, get good competitive games, and there is big world ranking points on offer if you're a player who's looking to build your world ranking points, qualifying for placings at future World Cups. An Australian Grand Prix, I'm putting the challenge out to you to come out and take it off me, take it off the Aussie guys. Christian Haas came out and narrowly beat Carl Young 3-2, the 2016 edition. But I'm putting the challenge out there to the European players. We're going to come out to the World Cup. We've traveled the world sharing this beautiful game. But I'm putting out the call to welcome basically the world to Australia and to Melbourne for this tournament. And what we're offering you in Melbourne is, firstly, an amazingly organised tournament. The venue is simply world class at Ultra Football. It's a soccer arena. You've got people who love the game, love soccer, and coming down to the venue all weekend. It's a great atmosphere. The equipment is first class, extreme pitches, extreme goals. The tables amazingly built by our local player, Kevin Grant. So you're coming and you're getting a very great quality surface. Our organisation team is fantastic as well. Every year the tournament runs bang on to time. It's very well organised. You'll get lots of matches. We do an individual event on the Saturday. We do a club teams event on the Sunday. And then we also do a national teams event. So we'd love it, for example, if you had 4 players or 3 or 4 players from your country, even though you might be in different fist of clubs, if you're coming out from the same country, you'll have the ability to play the Australian national team, and even more because we're going to have the New Zealand national team come next year as well, and the Singapore national team too. So at a minimum, if you're bringing out a national team, that's 3 full international matches, which, practically what that means is no matter what, you're getting a 2-day tournament, which is, I appreciate, can be a bit of the concern. You're traveling all this way to just play the individuals, and then what do you do? But that's what we can offer. And beyond, if you're keen on coming out, get in touch, because we have the option as well before the Grand Prix to even add on an international open, perhaps in Sydney the weekend before or the weekend after, to suit you from there. We've got some flexibility. So this is really the call out. We've got this amazing tournament which we've been running here, really well organized, really friendly as well, I think, Adrian, to sort of throw it to you and your experiences of how would you describe the experience being at the Grand Prix each year in Australia?
Yeah, I think the friendly nature is what people will probably like. When I was trying to reflect as you're talking, obviously haven't played in festive events in Europe. I've played in 1 or 2 WASPers, which is sort of more of the friendly atmosphere. But yeah, a lot of people sort of say that the atmosphere is a bit different in the Australian events than some of the European ones before and after the event in particular, a bit more of a social aspect to proceedings. The games themselves, obviously, are just as tense and stressful and whatnot, but there's a bit more on the social side. Yeah, we'll all have lunch together in the middle of the day, as well as those that are interested in the evenings before, during, after the tournament as well. And it's usually quite a big draw card for the local players, and even some of the travelling Singaporeans and whatnot, and the Kiwis too, I think, is that social connection with other lovers of this great game.
Definitely. And I think that's just what makes the tournament so special. And so I think that's really the call out that I'm keen to share for players all around Australia, Singapore, New Zealand. If you're listening to this video, get excited, because next year is going to be awesome with the return of the international matches as well. As for the Australia, Singapore and New Zealand players, we'll also build up to the Asian Cup, which will be in Australia later next year. Details, it'll be in Sydney, but as I understand, Adrian, dates still to be confirmed for that one.
Yeah, dates and venue, I think they're still trying to lock in. The challenge here in Australia is often getting a venue. So yeah, that's the big thing, great thing about the GP really, is not only has we landed that venue to promote it early, but landed the best venue we've ever had. When we had the GP here, it was last year, wasn't it? That we did the ultra football. Everyone was raving about it. Because so many people tapped me on the shoulder afterwards or during it, saying this place is amazing. It really was. I was so rapt how good it was and how much everyone else loved it as well.
Absolutely. And I think this is the perfect opportunity if you're a European-based player, running off the World Cup. The game's in a great state, and it's in a great state here. Whilst I think, Subbuteo table football, I'd love to see it roll on forever. I think my lesson in seeing the way the game has grown and had rise and falls in different parts of the world is, if you're a player, you're watching this video, you've got to strike while the iron's hot. I think you can forgo your Scottish GP or your Belgian GP for 1 year if it's on the same weekend, because while table football is hot and well organised and we have a great venue in Melbourne, this is your chance to really experience the magic and the friendship of world table football, to come out to the biggest Subbuteo table football event currently existing outside of Europe, in a non-World Cup year, as it all builds together. So if you're watching this video, please feel free to get in touch, either on Subbuteo Australia, our Facebook page, or you can contact me or Adrian on Facebook. We'd love to hear from you. If you're keen to come out to Australia, both to play in the Grand Prix or also to be doing some travel in Sydney, Brisbane, the other cities. We've got players all around the country who are keen to host you for matches and also show you their cities. We don't bite. We're very friendly people, just like you guys. We love soccer. We love Subbuteo. We love traveling, experiencing culture. So it's super exciting, and I'm really hopeful that we've built up a fantastic presence in the world table football scene. We've come to the World Cup. We've had players go play in tournaments in Europe, and I think for such an incredible product we have to offer, I think it's time, and we're keen and excited to host the world here in Melbourne.
I agree, Benji, and yeah, definitely, as you said there, around if people want to come and want to extend their stay a week or two, either side, then just reach out to us. We'd definitely be keen on holding other events, whether they're IOs or more social ones, just to fill in your calendar while you're here and to give you the tips of where to go. This is geographically very big country. May not be the population of Europe, but it's a long way to get around Australia, so we can help you prioritise where the best sites are to see as well. Between us, we've pretty much seen all the iconic sites around Australia, and there's a lot of them. So we can help you shortlist to your travel plans, I suppose. Be your pseudo cheapo travel guides.
Absolutely. No, we're super excited for it, and we hope that you're seeing these actions, and you can see the photos of our past events, and it's just a really special weekend. All the benefits of competitive and well organized table soccer, with all the fun parts of meeting new people, of having a good social experience, battling on the pitch, and friends off it. It's just magic. It really is.
Cool. Well, thanks, Benji. Great talking to you, mate. Great to get your lowdown on the GP plans, as well as your thoughts on the World Cup. Both two exciting events, exciting year, really, or those two and the Asian Cup coming up as well in our region. It's a big time in table football, which is good, exciting.
Definitely. It's magic to be involved. Everyone in Australia, keep playing, keep coming to events. We're picking it back up again. And as long as you keep having fun, keep coming back. It's awesome.
No worries. Thanks, Benji. Thanks for your time.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. That's a wrap for this month's episode. We'll aim to have another one next month, and hopefully a name by then. That's why this guy's here in the background. I did have something exciting, I thought, only yesterday, to announce a name for our show, but then someone highlighted it was already taken. I was devastated. Thought we had a ripper of a name, but well done to those that had already taken it. This was our logo, ready to rock and roll. Instead, maybe it's going to be Keeper Ready for this dude here. I'm not too sure. It's about the best idea we've got so far. In fact, I think it's about the only idea we've got so far. So if you've got a better idea, hit us up. And we want to name our Subbuteo show here in Australia. Till next time, keep on flicking.